Hello, welcome to our instructional video about secondary function chords. I'm going to tell you about a couple of different things here first so that we can understand the whole idea of secondary function. So sometimes in a piece of music, maybe the composer just gets bored of the key that he's in. Maybe it just sounds cool to him and he doesn't really know what he's doing. But sometimes a composer will put in a chord that doesn't actually fit in the key that he's composing in. So in this example we have here, we're in the key of C major. In the key of C major, there is no F sharp. So this chord, this whole chord right here, is acting in a different key. Okay, it doesn't function in the key of C major. If I were going to analyze this in the key of C major, I would see something like this. Bring the notes down and find out here I have a 1, and here I have, with that sharp there, a major 2, and this would be a 5. So this chord here in the middle, major 2, does not exist. Okay, so this chord is actually something else. And what it is functioning in the key of G major. So in the key of G major, that's a 5. This G chord right here is a 1. So I've got this 5-1 in the key of G major happening, but I'm willing to bet that really quick after this, which I didn't put another chord on this example, but the next chord would probably be a C major triad again, and we're back to our 1 of our original key. Okay, so this isn't really changing keys, it's just briefly visiting this new key. Okay, briefly visiting a different key just to add some interest. Okay, so this concept is called tonicization. Okay, that's a new vocabulary word for you here. So tonicization, tonicization. There we go. Tonicization is just a brief visit, brief highlight of another key. Okay, so not the original key or primary key that you started with. So for just these two chords here, this 5-1 in the dominant key, which is the key of G. Okay, G is the dominant of C. So in this dominant key, we have this 5 chord that doesn't function in the primary key of C major. So that's called tonicization, brief visit to a different key. So if I just take all of that stuff away that I just drew, I'll show you how we would analyze this in the key of C without having to change keys in our analysis for just that one chord. Okay, so we know this one's a 1, this one's a 5. This one functions as a 5 in the key of G. So what's the relationship between G and our original key of C? Well, a G is a 5 of the key of C. So in the key of 5, or in the dominant key of this primary key that we're in, this is a 5 chord. So I'm going to call this a 5 chord of 5. And you'll notice too that it's going to a 5 chord. So it's this 5 of 5 going to 5, or a 5 of G going to a G. Okay, so it has still that dominant tonic relationship, just with a kind of a borrowed tonic for a moment here. Okay, so we've got 1, 5 of 5 going to 5. So this 5 of 5 is called a secondary function chord. Secondary because it doesn't function in the primary key. Okay, it functions in a secondary key, almost like we're seeing a dream within a dream. Okay, secondary function. This one specifically, because it's a dominant chord in that secondary function, is called a secondary dominant. So that's how you analyze a secondary dominant. Let me show you how to write one with the proper voice leading and everything. So this is what I'm looking for here would be a 1, 5 of 5, 5. All right, so first thing I want to do is figure out what is the 5 of 5. I've got to spell these chords underneath. So here I'm in the key of, it looks like G. So I've got a G, B, D here for my 1 chord. Then, counting from there, I've got to find, first of all, the 5, looking for this, that 5 of the original key. The 5 of the original key is D. Then I need to find the 5 of that. So the 5 of D is A. So this chord here is going to be an A, C, E. But I know if I'm in secondary function here that it's not going to be diatonic. This should not be diatonic to that key, to the key of G major. Okay, so I'm going to need an accidental. So how do I figure out what accidental I need? Well, right now, if I'm not functioning in the key of G major, I'm actually functioning in the key of this 5 here, which is D, which has 2 sharps. Okay, so which 2 sharps are those? F and C. That affects my C right there. So this is going to be an A, C sharp, E chord that I'm trying to spell here. And then my 5 chord is a D, F, A. So then I just have to do the voice leading here, given those notes that I just wrote down, which is just the same as all the voice leading we've done. Just make sure you get that accidental on the C sharp. Okay, so I'm going to look for common tones. I'm going to take everything stepwise as much as I can. Since my bass is stepping up here, I think I'll probably want to try to bring the upper voices down in contrasting motion so that I avoid those parallel fifths and octaves. So let's see here. We want to double the bass on this. So I need an A, a C sharp, and an E. If I bring that alto down to the C sharp, I'll avoid having an augmented second there. And then the closest notes there for those coming down. So what kind of parallel motion do I have right there? Parallel sixths, and that's all. Okay. Then my leading tone is now this C sharp, because right here we're functioning in the key of D. So the C sharp is my new leading tone for voice leading this next chord. So I'm going to make sure that my C sharp goes up, and that doubles the bass, so then I need an F and an A. A is the common tone in the soprano, and then F in the tenor. Ta-da! Any parallel motion there I need to check. Yeah, parallel 6 between the alto and the tenor, and that's all. So we're safe there. That's how I would voice lead that example. Making sure that we resolve the proper tendency tone there with that C sharp.